What is hope if belief wavers? What is love if the heart is afraid? What good is a friendship if loyalty is thrown back to our primal ways? What is a union of souls if passion is diluted and desire is swayed? What is the use of dreaming when unwavering commitment is frayed? How do you build an unbreakable bond of love that is not mislaid? If from time to time the esteem of the friendship was not appraised, if faith was not questioned, and at some point devotion put on trial, if the longings were not stretched to tautness and held to the fire, can a tree grow from a seed to a sapling to a giant if it is uncared for? Would the stem hold it up if it was not nurtured and made to endure? If it was not frequently shaken and roughed up by the strong winds, tested to strengthen the roots and establish a firm foundation therein? How did your earring get its glitter if the gold was not washed of dirt, melted under intense heat, hammered and twisted to shape its worth? So let us allow our pain and suffering to tumble with the ocean about, and feel the mysterious essence of the gift of love without any doubts. Often we cannot control or determine the direction that the wind blows, and so we must adjust our sails to reach the destination that we chose. For our love is not a broken dream, not just a memory, but a raw flame. Gentle and steady burning in our hearts is the love that we must reclaim. How do you build an unbreakable bond of love that is not mislaid, if from time to time the esteem of the friendship was not appraised? If faith was not questioned and at some point devotion put on trial? If the deep longings were not stretched to tautness and held to the fire? The irrational wisdom of love's glowing light came to me at a cost. As unsettled as it was in its ways, the last hopes were doused. With potent venom, the hurt stalked my resolute spirit and heart, which it sought to destroy at its mooring when it tore us apart. Only the longings for her love pulled me back up off my knees, while empty desires had my mind and thoughts filled with fear. Driven by a singular zeal, hurt made its obvious intentions clear. Its coffers filled with stolen emotions, my flames extinguished, shadows of solitude darkened all of that which before flourished. My spirit succumbed to the ugly siege of the rancorous pain and sank into the abyss of humiliating defeat after being slain. In the debris of my ravaged spirit, I struggled to stay on my feet. The hurt was not an obstacle, but rather the nemesis I must defeat. Though I still moved, my resolve had been sapped from my bones, filled with despair, hollow, except for a stomach filled with stones. Only the longings for her love pulled me back up off my knees. As my story of love faded into the background, blurred and concise on wobbly legs, I faced the landscape of hurt that became my life, and I was left to choose this fork, knowing that I did not have a say, for I was made to believe that the universe's script had its own way. I will emerge, hopefully unscathed at the end of the cosmic play. The solitude and the nectar of pain are the tools I carry in my sway, the distinct notion and the satisfaction of knowing after this day that love always takes care of those that are loyal to its inner grace, and steadfast devotion keeps one safe in love's divine embrace. Only the deep longings for her love pulled me back up off my knees. In the debris of my ravaged heart, I struggled to stay on my feet. The hurt was not an obstacle, but rather the adversity I must defeat. Though I still moved, my resolve had been sapped from my bones, consumed with despair. Hollow and empty, sunk deep in the morass, only the deep longings for her love pulled me back up off my knees. If you had stayed, I would not have had to write this. I did not have to survive on our memories, did not have to recluse myself in thoughts of being blue. If you had stayed, for the love we vowed was true. My mind would not have been so doubled in trouble. I would have had little to no doubt, with no struggle. I would not have pondered as much in thoughts of you, if you had stayed for the love we vowed was true. If you had stayed, my life would not have been on rewind. The weeds would not have taken over the garden of my mind. The place that bloomed perfumed flowers from buds of lust, where we allowed the flow of love and life to be one with us. I did not have to seek peace, to question love and its loyalty. I did not have to be fearful of this life and its anxieties, if you had stayed. I did not have to suffer the wonderfully cruel pain, did not have to ask myself so many questions in vain, did not have to sink myself so deep into sadness, not have to throw myself into a realm of madness, if you had stayed. But you left, and I learned that I did not need you to make me whole. I realized that you were not the other half of my soul. I have found that I am me, an imperfect, unbroken whole. I craved acceptance. I needed you to accept me as the man I was, a perfectly imperfect, unbroken whole that I am, and you did not have to stay.